Elisabeth Guigou, former Minister of Justice in France and also a long-time observer of political things, but now from the Anna Lindh Euro-Mediterranean Foundation. And it seems to me this has been a long obsession of yours, the link between the European countries and Africa. Is that link, has it faltered? The Mediterranean processes are long in the tooth, and yet nothing seems to have happened very much.
No, I think it was. I think it has to be renewed. I think the Mediterranean is really central. It's very crucial because it's a link between Europe and sub-Saharan Africa, and most North African countries are really projecting themselves towards sub-Saharan Africa for obvious reasons. The Sahara is no longer a border. And the security questions in the Sahel are of course affecting not only the African countries on the whole, but us in Europe as well. So we've got Europe as a whole, including non-Mediterranean countries of Europe, in my view, have got to pay more attention to Africa, and certainly to have towards Africa a new attitude. I think that after the memory of colonization is still vivid, at various extent, depending the countries and how things went, but it's still there. And I must admit that after the independence of the countries of Africa, out of 54 countries in Africa, only 2 are not colonized.
Yes.
So we cannot ignore that. And after the independence, there was a kind of neo-colonialism through economy that really was everywhere. So we've got to, the Africans now want them to have an equal partnership with Europe, and I think we have to build that, because...
Do you think there's a consciousness on the European part that is needed?
Yes.
Or is it always seen through the prism of migration?
Yes. Well, mainly the prism of migration and security is, of course, at the origin of the renewing interest of Europe towards African countries. But okay, let us talk about that and act about that. But it's not the only question, because we have, I think, common interests and very complementary interests. For example, everywhere in Europe, we have old people, and the demographic gap is very important. Therefore, Europe needs to have youngsters coming from Africa, and especially skilled workers, And on the contrary, Africa needs to have more technology, more training. And when we succeed, and there are some successes, when our companies, especially on the private sector, succeed in doing that, then there is a common interest and a win-win deal. So this is what I think should be done. Maybe less public aid, which, and that's the responsibility of African countries, fueled bad governance and too often corruption.
Sure.
And so, well, we still have to maintain some aid for humanitarian purpose and to some very poor countries. But for the rest, I think the only thing we have to do is to promote private investors to create jobs in Africa, so that the people they prefer to stay home. When they have jobs, when they have health, when they have good education. And we have, studies, very profound studies in the Anna Lindh Foundation showing that. And so that's what we have to do. Now, there is, during the last 2 or 3 years, I could observe that both in the governments of Northern Europe are more conscious of that. The European Commission certainly, if you hear what Jean-Claude Juncker and the services and Federica Mogherini and their services say, now they are building up a new approach to Africa. Now it's for national governments to really help to do that. Now in saying that, I'm saying that there are shared responsibilities. The responsibility of Europe is to offer an equal partnership. With transfers of technology, training, etc. The responsibility of Africa is really to impose for their people, to impose good governance, to secure investment anyway, to ensure that the capital is mobile, and to fight, of course, corruption. And if we have that, and it seems to me that in African countries, especially the youth, but not only, many governments understand that it has become absolutely crucial.
And if we have that, we'll have a win-win. Elisabeth Guigou, thank you so much for coming to WPC TV. Thank you.
Thank you.